welcome to Fashion Made Live, where we make fashion live. So this is a video on how to sew curvy seams using cotton jersey knit fabric. So before you even get to your sewing machine, what you want to do is you want to, let me flip this over so it's more obvious. You want to baste your pattern pieces together. So when you baste, what you want to do is you want to use a really obvious color of thread to baste. Go with the cotton thread, it's easier to pull out later. And then what you're going to do is you're going to baste right along the edge of the curvy seams that you plan to stitch together. On this particular pattern, there is a very narrow seam allowance. If you have a wider seam allowance, I strongly encourage you to baste along the 5/8 inch seam allowance line, or whatever measurement your seam allowance is. Go ahead and baste on that line, and then take a pair of scissors, and then you want to cut away much of your seam allowance before you sew together your curvy seams on your cotton jersey knit. Basting will eliminate any risk of puckering after you sew, and cutting away any excess fabric just makes it a lot easier for you visually when you start to use your serger to sew your curvy cotton jersey knit fabric pattern pieces together. Here on my serger, what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise my presser foot, I'm going to lower it right where I want to start stitching, and because there's very little seam allowance here, I actually don't want to cut away any material. I just want to use my serger, also known as an overlocker, and go fairly slow while I put together this curvy seam. So I'm going to go slow. If you have speed control on your serger, now is a wonderful time to use it. There we go. And now here we go here. And just a little bit slower. So cool. Just want to make sure that what goes under the machine is just the part that I want the machine to serge. Now I strongly recommend that you use a serger to do this instead of a regular straight stitch sewing machine. If you do not have a serger, it's completely fine. You can still do this, but what you'll have to do is go and purchase there's actually a couple different kinds of textile, or not textile, but thread you can buy to allow you to do this on a straight stitch machine. You want to use woolly nylon, otherwise known as maxi lock or super stretch. It's a woolly nylon thread. Put that in the bobbin, and then use a regular thread in the top. Go. So that's all sewn. Now the next step here is, remember those basting stitches? See how we can still see them? What we're going to do here is you're just going to grab a pair of scissors and you're going to snip. You're just going to cut into your basting stitches. And now that we've cut into that, our next step is to take either a seam ripper or the tips of your scissors, and then you're just going to pull out the basting stitches. Okay, so I just slide the tip of my scissors under, and I'm just going to pull out the thread that I used to baste. So since we're done with the basting thread, I don't want it to show on the finished piece. I just want to end up with like a nice clean finish. Some people don't even pull out the basting stitches. I do, just because it's easier to pull out the basting stitches at this point in the process than, you know, you keep putting together all of your, you know, whatever the rest of your garment is, and then at the end you're like, wait, but I can see this weird pink thread. How did that get there? Just pull them out sooner rather than later. If your basting stitches are like way stuck in there and you do more damage than just leaving them in place, just leave them in place. It's fine. There's no wrong answer to basting stitches. You just don't want to see them in the final product, so that's it. You know. Okay, cool. So I got my last basting stitch out. So all that is gone. Oh, there's a little straggler. There's like just like one tiny pink stitch left. So, oh, there you go. And there it goes. And I think this guy, okay, that guy's gone. Or girl, are my basting stitches male or female? I'm not totally sure. I have questions. There we go. So now when we flip it over onto the right side, what we have is a perfectly sewn curved edge on our color blocked pattern. So again, this is why I strongly suggest baste the edges together so that when you're done, you get a really beautiful clean finish. That's pretty awesome, is it not? Color blocking. This is fantastic. So yeah, so that's how you get some like legit color block action. Oh, and by the way, if you flip it over to the back, this is what it looks like. So basting your color blocked pattern pieces together will result in some pretty amazing results. All right. Thanks for joining me on this Fashion Made Live live stream. And like I've mentioned before, Fashion Made Live now has a streaming pattern company. So look in the comments down below, or not the comments, but in the description of this video, and I will have a link for you to get your first free pattern. Thanks so much for